for meal planning. It's a bit interesting. We're gonna work through this process, and that's why you have a student sitting next with you so that they can kind of help you walk through this process as well. If for some reason we didn't get your food log from last week, maybe you could partner up with somebody else just to kind of listen, and then maybe we could map it out for you so that next time it'll work easier. You'll go and take this information and practice. I always like to say go practice for about a week or two. And if we need to modify it, we certainly will modify it for you. That's why nothing is set in stone, and a lot of this is written in pencil so that we can erase. So Teresa's going to kind of give you a brief overview of the different foods that are included in each one of these sort of sections. And then what you're going to do is take the pattern that we've provided for you and translate that actually into food for yourself so that you walk out with a menu. Not recipes, that's up to you, but you'll walk out with a menu for at least one day, which you'll understand how to do it so you can put a few menus together, and that might be part of what your goal is for this week, is to put together 5 or 6 days of menu ideas, as well as a shopping list, because I think the shopping list next week, when we talk about cooking and recipe modification, we're leading into grocery shopping as well, so this will kind of be a preview, all right? So I'm going to turn over to Teresa to just flip a few slides, and the students then will help you all work through this, okay?
Okay, so the first thing, when you look at your sheet, you're going to see the first column. It's going to say starches. So I'm just going to show you briefly what would be considered a starch. And it also will have the serving sizes, so you can kind of get an idea of how much one exchange would be. So this is the first starch list. So if you take a look down the list, you can see at the very top, a tortilla would be considered 1 starch. That would be 6 inches, so that's not very big, maybe about this big. We also have for flour, or if you wanted to do like canned beans, a 1/2 cup would be considered 1 starch. We also have pancake bagel bread. It also has different types of bread listed on the bottom, so sometimes it may be different depending on what kind of bread that you're eating. Here's some more ideas. A lot of people eat rice and pasta, so it kind of gives you an idea of how much a serving would be that you could count as a starch.
Don't go just yet. I'm
Not
gonna
yet?
point something
Okay.
out. What does that say?
Yeah.
A third of a cup, and it's cooked. So that's the serving size that we're looking at, a third of a cup. So it's not much. Okay, just to point out some of these things. Rice is the same thing. A third of a cup cooked rice is one serving. Okay, so what we're really focusing on today is we're really focusing on portion control. Because a lot of times we find you've heard the terminology portion distortion before. So that's what we're trying to undistort your portions, right? And make it clearer than mud for you.
So are you supposed to get out a measuring, I mean,
I'm pretty sure.
what's a regular measuring?
Yeah.
But in a third of.
Yes. So she has a good question. She goes, so are you supposed to go ahead and get a measuring cup out? And my initial response is absolutely, initially, until you can start to visualize and eyeball what it is, and then from that day on, you'll never have to do it again. But initially, absolutely, unless you know what a third of a cup looks like. So.
Besides just the normal things that you might think falls in the starch category, we also have starchy vegetables. So you always have to remember that certain vegetables will fall in that starch category, not in the vegetable category. So here's some of the starchy vegetables. And again, you want to look at the portion sizes. So with the corn on the cob, if you have a large corn, that's only going to be half of that corn cob would be 1 exchange. Also things like peas, if you have just a regular baked potato, or if you have like those mixed vegetables that have other things in it like peas and corn, that would also be considered a starch exchange. And again, this is based off of cooked for the majority of them. Here's some more starchy vegetables. Pumpkins are actually considered a starchy vegetable. We also have parsnips or plantains would be considered a starchy vegetable. And again, pay attention to the serving sizes. Moving on to fruits. So this is also going to be, it's the second column that's on your paper. So again, look at the serving sizes. For bananas, for example, it's only, would be considered 1 4-ounce, which is a pretty small banana. Sometimes you get those really large bananas, so that might count as like 2 fruits. Also, you can take a look at some of the other ones. Orange juice would actually fall under the the fruit category. Again, about 6 ounces would be considered, or half a cup would be considered 1 fruit exchange. Also with the milk, so you'll see this is the next column that's over. So you can kind of take a look at that as well. It divides it up for you. Yogurt actually falls under the milk category. And when the students sit down and work with you, they'll kind of show you how many exchanges you have, and then you'll decide how you're going to fit it in there. Non-starchy vegetables. So these are the ones that are going to fall under the non-starchy vegetable category. And there's all kinds of these that are considered non-starchy vegetables. On the bottom, if you look, it'll say 1 serving is considered half a cup of cooked, or a cup of raw of vegetables would be considered 1 exchange of vegetables. And then we have your meat and meat substitutes. So when it says meat substitutes, this is where actually your cheeses are going to fall. And this actually divides up into what's low-fat meat, lean meat, medium meat, and high-fat meat. So you always want to pay attention to that too. If you look at like what a serving size is for meat, 1 ounce. So that's not a whole lot. So you have to keep that in mind if you only have like 4 exchanges under the meats. If you eat a hamburger, it might be 2-3 ounces. So that would be 3 meat exchanges right there. So you always want to pay attention to the serving sizes.
So just a quick reference, everybody, what are you gonna tell them about
Yeah.
that? Pull out your palm, right? Ladies, pull out your palm.
Just like this.
Minus the fingers and the thumb. Same thickness, that's 3 ounces. Now, if you want a guy's palm,
Okay.
hold yours up, Aaron. He's about a 5 or a 6 ouncer. Isn't that nice reference, right? Different perspective.
Yeah.
But that means he gets to eat a little bit more than we do, because it's typically based on the palm size. Okay.
Okay, so moving on. Now we're going to talk about the fat category, and again, this is the last column that's on your sheet. So avocados and nuts actually fall under this. So we do need fats in our diet, so don't be afraid if you have 5 or 6 fat exchanges, you do need those. So it's going to show on here, avocado, again, it's all about serving size. Peanut butter, it has the mayonnaise. Depends again on the serving size, if it's reduced fat or regular, how you're going to count it as an exchange. We also have even like whipped cream up there. So those are going to be your fats. And then free foods we're going to kind of talk about a little bit later.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to, who eats almonds in here?
Yeah.
How many do you think a serving size is for almonds?
6 almonds.
Whoa.
Only 6.
45 calories, 5 grams of fat. 45 calories, 5 grams of fat. So if you eat 6 times 4 is 24, what do you do with that? 45 plus 45 plus 45 plus 45 is 180 calories. Bam, done. It's good for you kinds of fats, but it's still when we're trying to modify our weight and sculpt our bodies and change our status, we look at the overall amount of calories in versus calories out. Thank you, Teresa. We're going to go ahead and get started. The students are going to help you with putting together a sample meal plan with some food ideas so that you all can go home with some practice. Okay? And we're here to help you if you have any questions.